I don't know who's here, but I am live here for a minute, and tonight I'm going to talk very briefly with you guys about, why is this not showing up? The science of happiness and how the brain corresponds with that, and how you can actually reprogram the brain to coordinate with gratitude and with happiness and joy. This is super, super key. Hey, Sarah, Sherry. Hey, Catherine. I absolutely love neuroscience. I love brain activity. I love studying quantum physics and reprogramming. Hi, Brian. And so I'm really, really excited about this topic. I actually went to Utah recently, and there was a man there named Sharnael who does research on the science of happiness. Hey, Lori. He had a whole workshop with us. Melissa, how you doing? And went into all the research that he has based on what it is that makes people happy, how to stay happy permanently, and the differences between some people who have what seems to be everything at their fingertips, whether it's relationships, money, great job, great kids, whatever, versus people who have absolutely nothing, and the differences between how people respond to those situations. In other words, there were some people who were deathly ill and had absolutely nothing, totally in poverty, but were super, hey, Miss Betty, Lori. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of you guys here on tonight. Is everyone just bored and they had to come say, oh my gosh, James, I haven't seen you in a long time. What's up, bro? So what people were seeing, what this guy was talking about, is there were some people who were sick in the hospital, even children in the hospital, who had death-threatening illnesses, who had total joy and gratitude about every single day, versus a lot of people who had everything, whether it was relationship, business, money, shelter, obviously, things like that at their fingertips, and couldn't find happiness no matter what they did. They went through and looked at people who had multiple divorces, people who were like in different parts of the country and outside the country who were poverty stricken, had no toys, had no nothing, that's not English, who didn't have the things that we do in America, but were seemingly super, super happy, versus a lot of people who, again, had everything, had new cars, new, lots of money, lots of things to do, great jobs, successful, quote, people, whether in ministry, business, health, what have you. And he was, really checking into what is it that gives people certain perception versus other people's perception, because obviously it didn't have a lot to do with the environmental, because they even went and saw children in like leukemia hospitals who were super, super happy with nothing and days to live or weeks to live, versus people who had who knows how long to live and lots of great things at their fingertips. So to me, I'm very, very excited to learn about some of the things that he shared having to do with the neuroscience. And he also gave us tips on actually how to reprogram the brain. So you and I, all of us, hey David, hey Trina, hey guys, how all of us could actually retrain our brain to look at, see, and experience joy and gratitude permanently on a daily basis. And so I'm going to share a little bit about some of the research that will help you kind of understand where I'm coming from. Hey, David Tomberlin, what's up, dude? I don't know where you are, but you might be in Korea or someplace. But anyway, so this dude who's been on TED Talks and some other people, we got the opportunity to sit down with him and to hear some of his research. He put a bunch of people on brain machines that could test like the activity and the waves of how your brain activity would be, sitting under 5 hours in a basement doing nothing but playing video games, specifically the video game Tetris. I don't know if any of you are familiar. Do any of you guys play video games? Denise, anybody? Bobby, do you guys play video games? Have you ever played Tetris? I've never actually played that game. I've seen a lot of people play it. Courtney, Marie, have you ever played Tetris? I don't know. But I do know, I've seen people who played it. Oh, a couple people. Awesome. I've seen a couple people who've played it, kind of watched over their shoulder. And I know for a fact that the whole point is like things are dropping and you're wanting to make like straight lines. You're wanting things to fall so all the things can go into straight lines and they're all even. Like everything has to be super, super even. So they had dozens and dozens of people that they put on all this brain activity, like hookups and wires, and made them play this game for a whole 5 hours straight. And then they let them go. They went home, and they contacted them later to see if they had any kind of similar results or different changes or shifts in their lives. And what was really, really cool and interesting is a lot of them came back and they were not only dreaming about playing video games, they were having issues in their house and or the grocery store or their office or whatever, organizing things to be in straight lines. Like they found themselves, or people would catch them, not even consciously, but doing this unconsciously, going to the grocery store and lining up cans and or boxes to make things be even. So if something was out or pulled forward, they were shifting it to make it go forward. Within a day or two of all this happening, they were noticing they were doing it in their refrigerator, in their cabinets at home, on their office tables. And so, they all took note and everybody kind of wrote down the results of what was going on. That was the biggest thing, mainly, is that people wanted everything to be level and in clear lines, which is just like the video game. And that they were dreaming about playing video games. Like they couldn't help it. I know I used to work at Fast Track years ago when I was like 15, 16 years old. And I remember there was a beep that would go through when people would come to the drive-thru. It was like beep, beep. And I would remember like dreaming about hearing that beep. It was like a nightmare, but so I get that part. I understand that part. But the other thing that was interesting is he sat down with a bunch of people and interviewed them over time to find out like what makes them happy, what makes them happy in work, what makes them happy in relationships. And he happened to interview this guy who is a tax auditor. And when he sat down and really spoke to him, the thing that was bothering the tax auditor was not so much his job, but he went on to say how him and his wife were having some big problems and how things weren't working out, and that he had had a lot of history in relationships previous where things just didn't work out. And so the guy asked him, well, what is it that happens? What's going on with the relationship? Why doesn't it work out? And what's going on with the current relationship? And the guy goes, I'll tell you, here, let me sit down and I will give you my list. And he actually pulls up his computer and he gets out a spreadsheet for Excel and he starts writing out everything that is wrong with his wife. And in the end, they were just like, okay. And then he ends up saying, I think I'm just going to send him this entire spreadsheet and let her know, because if you could change these things, then we would be fine. And, I don't think that they actually thought that was the greatest idea ever. But anyway, the point is, the more Sean was looking at this and looking at other people's job, he had a similar experience with someone who worked in quality control at a big warehouse. And his job was basically to look for things that were wrong so people could, hey, Marlene and Cheryl, New Zealand is here, awesome, and Montana, very cool. So their job was actually to find things wrong. And then he kind of bridged the gap over there and looked at the IRS guy, which obviously an auditor's job would be to also look for things that are wrong. And so what he did is he did lots of experience, and he had people, set up on these brain scans, and he would watch when people would talk about good things, bad things. He would look at the pathways and what have you regarding looking for things that are wrong. And hey, Matthew, that's so cool. Good to see you. So I thought it was really cool. In the end, what he did is he had all these people whose job it was to find things wrong. and he gave them a simple task. He had them sit down every single day, once a day, for at least a minute. They were supposed to think of 3 things that were really, really positive about their life, and they were supposed to also conclude with and why those things are positive. So Sean had actually said a good homework assignment would be, since we brush our teeth every day, at least once a day, hopefully twice, that during that time that we brush our teeth, we would take that moment of time to literally think to ourselves, what is something positive that's going on in my life and why? In 3 different ways, whether it was business, relationship, friends, ministry, animals in their life, finances, whatever it is. But every time these people were to brush their teeth, their job was to think of 3 things that were really happy, that they had gratitude for, and why they had gratitude. They did this over 21 days, including the tax guy, including the auditor, the quality control guy. And sure enough, when they went back and tested their brain waves, certain parts of their brain having to do with joy and happiness were actually lit up way more than when they had not practiced being in gratitude. And so it took 21 days, and it was really, really cool. I think that actually no other circumstances changed on the outside. They didn't give their list to their partners to make them change all these things to make them be better. They didn't change their jobs. They didn't get a raise. They didn't get a new car. There were no extenuating circumstances that happened to them. They were all in the same positions that they were with the same people, but all they did was make a very intentional effort at least once a day to sit down and think of 3 things that they were happy about and why, and to think on these things. Now, the scriptures talk about, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And of course, with quantum physics and all that, you can go all day. What you focus on, you make room for. Energy goes where energy flows. All of that has to do with neuroscience and quantum physics as well. So we have a lot of basis for this. Speaking things, thinking things, doing all these things. But now we actually have the science in our brain that will conclude and show results that when we intentionally sit down and focus on positive things and gratitude, at least once a day, for maybe even a minute a day of your time, that your brain activity actually changes. Your brain actually will change, and it will light up in a more positive way, full of gratitude and joy and happiness, versus someone who didn't practice those things. And so I would love to challenge any of you who would like to take this challenge on to basically follow through with not only that, that assignment of when you brush your teeth, if it's once a day, twice a day, think of 3 things that you're happy about and why you're happy about them. And also, he gave a further cool homework assignment, which was to pick 3 people a day and send them a personal text, a Facebook message, an inbox, or go on their wall and just write 2 or 3 sentences of why you actually like them. And it will retrain your brain to look for the positive in people, to focus on the positive of people, to focus on the joy and the gratitude of what you have in your life instead of focusing on the things that may be wrong, focusing on the positive things. Those dendrites and pathways in your brain will actually make new pathways where your automatic hardware will go straight to thinking positive instead of going off into the negative. And so, brushing your teeth with positivity and doing the homework of picking 3 people a day and saying 2 to 3 really positive things in a sentence, whether it's text, email, Facebook, on their Facebook page, whatever you choose. Tell them person to person in their eyeballs. That's hey, what an idea. Maybe try that. But just to look for the positive and be able to focus and communicate those things and get into a habit of not only thinking about positive things, but communicating those things to other people will change your brain. And so if you would like to do that, can you just give me a show of hands who'd be willing to do this for 21 days? 21 days. We could actually excuse me, we could start July 1st if you would like, or we could, you know, whenever. But I think this would be such a cool thing to see what happens when any of us do this for 21 days and come back in 21 days and see what any of us have as a result of doing these things. So Marla, Tatiana, Denise, some of you guys, Terry and Lynn, Karen, I hope that you would consider this challenge. Hey, Miss Cindy, I think it'd be super, super fun if we could start July 1st. And hey, if you want to start early, we can start tonight. You know, why not? So, but I'm going to check back with everyone on the 21st and see how we did. But, hey, Carissa, Judy, Becky. Becky's in. Ken's in. So we got a lot of people. Christy's in. I think it's going to be a fun little thing, Miss Teresa, that all of us can kind of do this. Now, look, you can even use oils like Believe or Transformation or Evergreen or whatever. Let's see what happens when we do this. I am like really, really excited to see how we can change our brain. Like, we have that much potential. We have that much power. We are so powerful to be able to actually change the physical brain of our inside brain and our emotions and the chemistry. Because you know what he found too, by the way? He found that people who sent these out after 2 or 3 days of sending out like an email or a text or whatever, they were actually addicted to being nice to people. They came back and also tested their brain, and it showed how they were super excited when they would get responses from the people who would email back and say, oh, thank you, that's so sweet, or oh, I appreciate it, I needed that today, or what have you. But those people who came back, they found that they didn't stop the homework assignment when they were finished with their 21 days because they were literally addicted, and it showed different parts of their brain was releasing dopamine, serotonin, and all kinds of things that came with them being actually full of gratitude, full of having nice and kind words towards other people. So I am so excited about this. Check it out. Let me know who's all in. And if you got on this late, you know, go back and listen to it. And I'd love to hear what happens. If you want to chime in over the time of the next 21 days and let me know how we're doing, I'd love to hear that. Yes, Brett, we need to talk soon. And I love you guys. Now, tomorrow night, I have a special class that I'm doing for White Dove Ministries. And so if you want to get on that, you can scroll down on the Facebook page and you can get into that too. It's going to be tomorrow at 7 o'clock. So I hope you can meet me there. We're going to talk about trauma and drama and how to reprogram with that. We're going to talk about detoxing, health, frequency, quantum physics, lots of different things. So scroll down to this little post that's already here on the Facebook page, and you can add your email or go ahead and log in to that group. It's a private group that we're setting up for tomorrow at 7. I'd love to see you guys there. Have an awesome night. Think happy things, you know. Do the whole Philippians 4 thing where it says think on these things that are beautiful, things that are loving, things that are kind, things that are good news. These things are things that we can do and that we can choose to do as we have the mind of Christ. So, all right, love you guys. Have a great night. Talk to you soon. See you tomorrow night. Bye.